JP, or the Meal Prep Guy as he's better known both locally and online, is a man driven by obsession. Obsession is what drove him to the top in the world of powerlifting, and that same obsession, now deployed in the world of business, has led to the astounding success of his company, Meal Prep Guy 903. A mountain of a man physically, his intimidating stature gives way to a very friendly and open guy who loves what he does and is trying his best to bring value and opportunity to those around him. I hope you'll come with me as we go to meet JP Carroll. I'm here with JP. He's the owner of Meal Prep Guy here in Tyler and now expanding out to White House, but he can probably introduce himself better than I can, so I'll let him do that.
As he said, I'm JP. I own the Meal Prep Guy in Tyler, White House, and probably several other locations coming soon. Yeah, I mean, that's the gist of who I am right now.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell him a little bit about who you were before?
Well, I spent a good part of 10 years being a professional powerlifter, and I cringe when I say that. I really don't like talking about it too much anymore, but that's what I did. That's how I made my living. I competed in big meets. I won the Arnold, which is like one of the bigger meets in the country. It's the biggest sports festival in the world, actually. And I won that back to back. And then the third year, I was pretty sick and I took second place, so I didn't get to three-peat. I wrote articles. My whole life was consumed by that. I trained at Westside Barbell, which is like, I guess, making it to the NFL for lifting weights. You know, like that's the comparison. I got hurt pretty bad, and I made a life-changing decision and drove about 1,000 miles away from where I lived to kind of run away from everything. And next thing I know, I own a meal prep company. Literally happened like overnight because of that.
Yeah. And it's become super successful from what I've seen just online and then being around here and everything. You're expanding out and stuff.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Yeah. So if you don't mind me asking, I'd like to kind of know, I'd like to do it kind of autobiographical if I can. So if we can go back, I'd like to, how did you get started in powerlifting?
Well, before that, I played football for about 10 years. I played arena football. I played a bunch of semi-pro football, and it was like an off season, and the woman I was married to at that time, her stepdad was really into like lifting weights and stuff. And the dude was a wild man. He's got the best story in the world. That's who you should do a podcast on. His father was like a World War II like bomber type thing, and his mother is 100% only speaks Korean, and they met over there, and so that's how he was made. And one day I was just over there, and we're lifting a little bit, and he's like, "Hey, there's this weightlifting meet thing. You want to go to it?" And I was like, "Whatever." We went, and it's my first time really. And so in the North, powerlifting is not a big thing like it is here in school, and like pretty much everybody, if you talked about powerlifting, would be able to have a decent conversation. Up north, unless you powerlift, you wouldn't know about powerlifting. If you went into a high school and said, "Who knows about powerlifting?" there would be very, very few people. So I was like, sure. So I go to this thing, I've never seen it, and these guys are like squatting, they're benching, they're all hyped up, and they're like sniffing what I didn't know at the time was smelling salts, and they're getting all fired up. And I'm like, damn, these dudes are nuts. I was like, they should be playing football, Yeah. So then they get to deadlift, which I'll bring that full circle. And I seen a guy, and I'll never forget, he was wearing like they wear the singlet, but his was like the Mexican flag. It had like a big ass eagle. I was like, damn, this dude's crazy. And he deadlifted like 700 pounds. To me, I was mind blown. I was like, and the bar was bent and shit. I was just like, I want to do this. And he's like, well, then do it. And I was like, all right, whatever. And I had been getting close. I was at 30 or 31. I was thinking about giving football up at that time. I was pretty banged up. And I kind of
go into like the second most injury prone.
Yeah. That's what I always said. I jumped from a frying pan to the, freaking deep fryer.
Yeah.
But it was different, and I was into it. So I started doing a little research, and Bob, who was my father-in-law at the time, he That's all he did was research. He bought a squat rack. He bought a bunch of chains, and he was following a guy named Louis Simmons. Oh, and the reason I said I bring the deadlift thing full circle is deadlift was my absolute worst lift for like the longest time. So it was funny that deadlifting got me into powerlifting, and it was literally my arch nemesis. But he got all these books, and he got all these manuals, and he read up online. So we started doing all this, conjugate style training, and I started getting stronger, and then I played one season while I was still powerlifting, and I mean, it actually made me feel better. I was in great shape, and he would always make us do these things called blasters after we lifted. We would do like a CrossFit style thing. It would be like 20 burpees, 20 deadlifts with like 135, sprint 500 meters on a rower, and do kettlebell swings, and we do like 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds. We'd all throw up and be miserable and lay on the basement floor. But he turned us into killers. So I think that year I ended up going to play in Daytona with a team from Boston. And that was like a championship, like a Super Bowl type thing. And went down there and they put us in this like big, not an Airbnb. This was before that time. It was like a timeshare type thing. Mm-hmm. So we're like 8 dudes, this big giant mansion in Daytona. They gave us money and like a rental car, and we just acted stupid. And I kind of started deciding while I was there, like that was my last football game. And then I took powerlifting pretty serious. And within my first meet, I totaled 1755 or something. I missed my last squat, so like I would have had like an 1,800 pound total. And at that time, there was a pretty well-known powerlifter named Brandon Lilly, and he was at that meet. He told me, he's like, "Man, I don't know who you are." He's like, "But stick to it." Cool. And then just one thing led to another, and next thing you know, I had a 955 pound competition squat, a 580 pound bench, and an 800 pound deadlift, which is actually 799.4 because of the kilos, but I'm saying 800 for the rest of my life. Yeah, I mean, it was a great 10 years. It was fun. But the flip side to that is like the way I am with everything, and that's kind of why this place is successful, is I just lock onto something. And then, I was missing all my kids' stuff. I wasn't going to their games. I was missing my daughter's award ceremony because I was just like, I missed my brother's wedding because it was squat day. Like, that's a true story. Like, I didn't go to my own brother's wedding. I drove 350 miles overnight to go squat with some people in Ohio. And, I just didn't care about anything but becoming the best in the world. And then I got close a few times, and I kept going, and I was killing it, and then I fell apart. I tore my supraspinatus off my scapula and couldn't use my left arm for like a year, and I freaked out, and I moved to East Texas, and here we are.
Yeah. So just like a question about that, like with the powerlifting, does somebody because you see in these like massive amounts of weights for deadlifting and all these records being set, how long does somebody like stay on those records, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, so there's guys that hold records for a long time, but the last, if I had to say 4 or 5 years, the game has totally changed. There's so much more like a scientific approach, and I'm not sure the audience of this, so maybe I want to plug some kids' ears, but the drug protocols, like that stuff has changed to the point these guys there's freaks, like they come out of the woodwork. Like you'll never hear of a guy, and within a year he's broke every record, and you get to a point, there's a guy named Julius Maddox. He benches like almost 800 pounds. And this is raw. This is not with a bench shirt and all that weird stuff. I mean, if you told me 10 years ago a guy was benching 800 pounds raw, we would laugh and tell you you're dumb and you don't know what you're talking about, because a 600-pound bench was a major thing, which I did bench 600 pounds raw one time, but it was in the gym. But like it's grown, and it's weird, and it's just there's really great coaches out there that apply science, not just bro science. Go in, hit buys and tries, and go home. No, it's like periodization. Like there's definitely a thing that the Russians figured out in the 60s for the Olympics. So basically you train at a percentage, 70, 80%, and then you taper up and down. That's the phone ringing. And it's changed a lot. So people don't really hold records for very long anymore like they used to, like when I was really into it. When I started, there was a guy named Andrei Malanachev. He was a Russian, and he held the super heavyweight stuff for a good 5, 6, 7 years. There's a guy named Dan Bell right now, and I trained with him for years. And he was just like, I never want to say he was like middle of the road, like, but he was but he was like, top 10, 15. And he literally got with a coach who's just brilliant now, and he owns every super heavyweight record there is outside of just like a bench only type thing. He's a monster. So it's the brains have really entered in the meathead realm, and that's why things have really gone through the paces. You don't see too many people sitting on a record. Dan Bell will sit on records for a long time. It's amazing what he's done.
Yeah. So you talk about like middle of the road. You were talking about people like seeing potential and stuff. Like, how do you figure that out in a sport where it's just like raw numbers? Like this person lifted this much. How can you like look at somebody and say they had the potential to beat this record or something like that?
I mean, it's weird too. Like the more you're into it, I wrote an article one time that was called Number Numb. You know, I'll sit here and talk about a 600-pound bench all day, and to me that's normal. But outsiders are going to hear that and be like, Jesus, you know. So it's like we get numb to that, like saying middle of the road is top 10. Top 10 in the world is not middle of the road, but when you're up against it and you see it and you're in it, it's a different thing. The one thing that I've always noticed is two things. If somebody's coachable, they listen. So I coached a lot, and I would tell these guys, do this, do that, and then I see their Instagram, and they're maxing out because some hot chick was at the gym or they're in a bad mood or whatever. You just messed up the whole program. So if a kid's coachable or a guy's coachable or a woman's coachable, that's a good sign that because like I said, the science, it's kind of hard not to get stronger if you follow the rules. You know what I mean? The progressions work. And then you'll know a freak right away. I used to train, when I moved here, I enjoy getting people to a 500-pound bench. So there was a bunch of guys here that were like mid-4s, low-4s, and I've probably got 6 or 7 guys to bench 500 pounds since I lived here. Well, through that process, I met this one guy. I'm not going to say his name because I can't stand him, and he'll probably hear this and come find me and want to talk to me. But he played football in Canada, or so he says, or whatever. But this guy didn't have form. He was just raw. I mean, super, super, super raw. I mean, this guy squatted 800 pounds. Doesn't know anything about powerlifting, didn't know how to squat. Just raw, just God-given strength. I mean, and that, you see that and you go, oh shit, like, how do I hone this into it? But again, he wasn't coachable on top of that. If you get a guy that's just raw strength like that and he can listen to you and his life is conducive to training, you got to think, man, eating, sleeping, recovering, it takes a lot. You know, that's like a job. So if you could find that, that's the two things. You'll know when you see that person who doesn't even know what they're doing and they're just already strong, and then person who will listen to everything. I had a kid here named Chris. He's a young kid, and he's probably the strongest person in his gym, and I just can't stand him because he wants to be the big fish in a small pond. I was told from Louis Simmons, who's the owner of Westside Barbell, who's no longer with us, said if you're the biggest, strongest, and smartest person at your gym, leave. You know, it falls into that whole thing. But he listened. If I would have told him, do 3 jumping jacks in between each bite of cereal, he would have done it. But he continued. I mean, he just got bigger and stronger each step of the way. So those are the two main things, coaching and just natural talent.
Yeah. So you mentioned like the drug regulation, and so what does that mean? Because you said with the drug regulation they've been getting stronger or whatever. Is that just like illicit drugs, or are you talking performance enhancing?
Performance enhancing for sure, but most people who use performance enhancing like to do recreational drugs too.
Yeah.
But so there's 2 ways you can go about powerlifting. You can go drug-free, tested, and basically what they do is they just take a random 3, 4, 5 people, usually the people who are the strongest there, and they drug test them. If you get caught, you're banned. And then they have what they call just open. You know what I mean? And those guys, they take enough shit to kill small horses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, that's a very counterfeited, there's a big giant rainbow over there, like majorly. They're, people make them in the bathtub, so once it got a little cleaned up and a little more mainstream, like as illegal as it is, it's probably one of the easiest things to take care of with your doctor. There's ways you can go on test, stop test, cold turkey. Your natural test levels will just plummet. Go to the doctor and say, hey, I don't feel good anymore. They'll check your testosterone. Next thing you know, you have a script for testosterone. So that's legal. You're paying for it. It's clean. It's the real deal. The thing is, if you get it from a doctor and it's 250 milligrams, you know it's 250 milligrams. You get it from Joe Blow at the gym, that shit could be 20 milligrams or it could be 2,000 milligrams. You know what I mean? You're swelling up, you're infected, you got a fever.
Yeah.
So a lot of people really learn how to take care of that. And then again...
So before the regulation, it was really hurting more than...
I mean, there wasn't just... It was meatheads, man. It was bros.
Yeah.
I would tell you, hey, I did this. It worked for me. You do it. But then people started applying real science. What a lot of smart guys seen was that overuse of drugs and this, that people would depend on using drugs to get stronger instead of getting strong to a point and using drugs to peak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get yourself to a 550 pound bench and then use the performance enhancing drugs to get 575, 585, you know, but guys were just using it to get a 400 pound bench. So a bunch of smart people just said, you know what, we're just going to be honest with people and tell them how it should be done. And when that information started coming available, that's another, when you just start seeing the number curve go up. And it was fun to see. I mean, it was just, you go to a gym and see a guy squat 900 pounds, 1,000 pounds. Like, that's not what we're supposed to do. We're like supposed to run through the woods and hunt. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
We're not made to do that. So it was always super cool. And then you'd always get some dude that's like, bodybuilder at heart, you know, 300 pounds with abs, jacked and shit, and he wants to be strong too. And then you see like just an average dude, you know, that's the thing about strength. Strength doesn't have to be shown like, you know, aesthetically like bodybuilding. You get a guy that walks in, he just looks like an average 30-year-old dude and he's just strong as balls, you know, so it was always just fun to see those type girls. I used to train with a girl named Janelle Vector. She was 124 pounds and she squatted 474.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I couldn't even watch. I literally turned around. I was like, if she dies, I don't even want to see it. You know? I trained.
It seems like a ratio that shouldn't be possible.
Yeah, I trained with a girl with Westside named Heidi Hauer, one of the strongest females in the world. She's beautiful. She's smart. She's kind. She was benching, again, 125-pound girl, benching. Now, she did have a bench shirt on. She was what they call geared. And she was benching almost 500 pounds. She snapped her forearm and it compound fractured. It came out. It sounded like a 2x4 broken half. She seen all the blood and everything. She fainted. She passed out. She woke up, started screaming. Probably one of the craziest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. But healed up, got back in the gym, and she's still doing it to this day, you know? Like, that's what I loved about powerlifters. Powerlifters are crazy, like, tough. Like, we've all, I mean, I tore my pec.
It's that obsession you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it is. And that's, you see people come and go, of course, but the people who are really locked in, passion trumps everything. Motivation, that only gets you so far, you know what I mean? Like, you could be motivated to do a lot until it's too much, but passion, it's inside you, you know? Like, right now, my passion is this. Like, I love it. I wake up every day pumped to go to work. Passion trumps everything. I've said that for a long time.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about you going, so you get injured after this has been your thing for so many years.
Yeah.
How did you end up down here in East Texas?
Man, literally just like threw a dart at a map.
Really?
You know, just like, let's go. And then, it was just the weirdest thing. When I moved here and I was here for like a year or two, people say, hey, how long have you lived here? And when it was like 2 years, I would say 1. And then people around me were like, you lived here longer than that. And I'd tell people, I spent my first year here depressed. I made fun of people with depression, anxiety. I've always been an anxious person, but I'm always just like, how could you be depressed? This, that, and the other. I was literally like glued to a bed, man. Like, I'm not even going to lie. Like, that was it was heavy. Everything was heavy. Like, my whole life stopped like that. All the people that I wrote for, that I trained for, that I did all these things for, it stopped, you know, injury. And I didn't know what to do with myself. It was crazy. And like I said, I was just running from everything. And I don't know what was wrong with me. I just couldn't use my arm. The fitness scene here was trash. Like, I go to these gyms. I'm banned from gyms in Tyler, Texas, because me and my guys are too strong. I literally had 2 clients sign up for a meet, and they got an email and said, we want our gym members to do good at the meet, so you guys can't come. I was told if I showed up, the police would be there. Like, all kinds of crazy stuff. So, like, everything that I was passionate about gave me the worst taste in my mouth here. It was so bad. And then, like, just had to get off my ass, you know, and, like, I started going back to the gym, and then how this whole thing started was I'm at the gym right in the beginning of the pandemic, and like I said, I was coaching. This is right when I was coaching that guy who squatted 800 pounds without knowing what he was doing. A a good friend of mine, Jesse Hobbs, Justin Holly. I was getting all these guys 500-pound benches. It was getting me back to feeling good, you know. And then I'm sitting there eating a meal at the gym, and Justin Holly comes up to me and says, "Hey, man, the lady who makes mine, her gym closed. You want to make my meals?" I told him to go fuck himself, you know. But with that, like I said, I had online clients. That's how I made my living. People were like, "Hey, JP, you know, number 3 in the world, let's squat. You know, he's benches 600 pounds. Like, he could teach me." So I had like, I don't know, 150, 175 online clients. And the next thing you know, "Coach, my gym closed. I don't need a coach right now. Coach, I got laid off. I can't afford a coach right now. Coach, my gym closed. Coach, I'm like, cool, I get it. Like, but it went from 200, 150, 100, and it was just trickling down. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, shit. And then that's when they said, you know, 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'll make some meals for the next couple of weeks, side hustle till my stuff gets back up. Well, I started doing it, and then another buddy, and then their friend, the word of mouth went crazy. So for like the first year, I went from making maybe 20 meals a week to a couple hundred. And then I was like, okay, this is a thing. You know, I was like, if I could do, I don't even remember what I said anymore. If I could do 200 meals a month or something, I was like, this would be a good side hustle. And it just continued to grow to the point. I remember the last day I was like, okay, I can't do this at the house anymore. I made like 300 meals out of my house. And you got to think, man, I have one oven. So
Yeah.
I'd put something in there. I would wait 40 minutes. I would pull it out. I'd put something else in there. And then I had, and here it's weird. Like, we have gas stoves back home. Here it's like the glass flat tops on everything electric. So I'm like cooking on that. And then, you know, it's like, you run out of something, you're like, oh my God, I have 2 dogs. I have to put everything away, go to the store, come back. It just became way too much. So I started looking at places, and then I seen this place, and I was like, there's no way. I was like, it's 5,000 square feet. I was like, I'll never outgrow this place. So I came into this with the thought process of, I have room to grow, you know, and then literally right now, today, we had a meeting, and we need more room. Like, it's wild. Like, you know, we make this month of August, we'll definitely pass 10,000 meals this month. The first week of August has been probably the craziest week we've had this whole summer. It's so much going on that White House, the store's ready. We're just waiting on Net Health, and they use COVID as an excuse still, so we're like waiting. And then we have to put something in Lindale because we have so much going on that we just need like 2 other little bases to have everything. And we get a lot of customers. They come out from Athens, Flint, Bullard, you know, so it's like we need to just spread it so they don't have to drive as far. I'm getting people in here every day. Hey, we just drove an hour to come grab meals, you know, so yeah, it's wild. It's literally was an accident.
So where did the meal prep, like cooking stuff, obviously, I mean, you got to do that to be able to maintain your strength and everything, but when did you first kind of fall into that?
My idea of meal prepping when I was powerlifting for a living was putting 10 cups of rice in a gallon Ziploc, putting like 3 pounds of beef or turkey in a Ziploc, and then keeping a bowl and a spoon on me. I kept it in a book bag, never kept it cold, nothing. I keep it on me all day, and I just, when I was hungry, I'd make a meal. I literally was never, I was a cook at one point in my life, but I was a wild man when I was young, so I had to do a little bit of time for some things I did. And I worked in a kitchen then for like 3 years. So I did learn that whole kitchen thing. But outside of that, I'm not a chef. I tell people that all the time. I was like, I'm a cook. And I'm proud to say that. Like, I think cooks are dope. Like, a chef creates stuff. And of course they cook and everything, but they're at a level in their life where they're like a CEO. And then cooks are who are, you know, I say every day, kitchen life. You know, we're in there, it's 90 degrees, we're pouring sweat, we're running around, we're getting burned, there's, you know, boiling water flying, everything. Like, I just love that. Like, I'm the owner and I'm still in the kitchen at least 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
It's never been a thought process. Matter of fact, I asked myself when I moved here, what am I going to do as a career? And I said, I'm never getting in the food industry. Here we are.
So you mentioned, like, you know, your goal was like 200 meals as a good side hustle.
Yeah.
Do you know how many you're doing now, or can you estimate?
The last month we did a little north of 10,000 meals last month.
10,000.
Yeah, and this month we're going to I'm predicting we do 12,000 meals this month. We're working with UT Tyler's soccer team, volleyball team, Tyler ISD, White House City Council. Like, we have so much going on that it's just, our calendar looks crazy. It's just meals on meals on. Just the 2 UT teams alone adds probably the soccer team's like 45, and I think we got 6 days with them, so that's 300 meals. The volleyball team's a little less than that. I mean, just that right there, that week that we're doing that with them is an extra 500, 600 meals. And that noise you just heard was an order coming in. You know, it's wild. When this started, I always said it would be gym people. I was a gym person. I didn't know much other than that. And it was great because the gym people who order, they order 6 of this, 6 of this, 6 of this, 6 of this. Well, now that we've caught on, and I tell people we sell convenience, not food. A lot of the orders are 13, and it's 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So that's a lot more time consuming in the kitchen, you know. But we have people who put in orders, they get 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 meals on an order. Like, that's wow. Like, what do you do with all that food? You know, it's crazy.
Is that just like teams, or is it?
No, people. There was a lady today. She had 38 meals. 4 of them were full-size pans. We do like the dinner table style stuff now. There's a guy in Lindale. He ordered 68 meals. I called him and said, hey, you want us to split this? Because what we'll do is if somebody orders a bunch for the week, we'll deliver on Monday and Wednesday or Sunday and Tuesday, just so they stay fresh, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it gives the kitchen a little extra. I mean, making 70 meals for one person adds a lot to the day. And he's like, nope, I'll take them all. And then, I mean, like 3 days later, he puts in another little order, which was like $200. I mean, that used to be, I remember like we opened here in January 19th, and we did like 30 sales one time after being open for a few weeks. And we were like, blown away. We're like, how did we do that? We do 80s now. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. And every day somebody's like, hey, I was driving by, I seen it. Hey, we're just still getting new. I feel like we've been doing this for 10 years by the output we're doing. But in reality, we're 8-month-old company. You know, I don't count when I did it at the house or everything, but like legally, doors open, brick and mortar, meal prep guys, a legit
tax
thing.
Reasons.
Yeah. I only made 6 meals out of my house. Yeah, but you know, it's crazy. 8 months, already have another store. Literally, if that store does what I think, honestly, what I've learned lately is I thought that store would do well, but with the outreach of messages and people commenting and asking us, I think that store will parallel this store, which not having a kitchen there, the overhead's so much cheaper, it just makes so much sense. If that goes as smooth as it feels, my vibe thinks in the next 30, 60 days, I'll go straight to Lindale and open something, because that's our biggest access right now. You know, my delivery driver will go all the way deep into Lindale, and then he'll finish his route all the way out in Flint and Bullard, you know. So if we can have some spots where people can grab some stuff and alleviate that as much, then that helps us time-wise. You know, I don't want my customers getting their meals other than Sunday. I really don't care, because most of those people are getting it for Monday. But I don't want people getting their stuff at 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night. You know, I want my people to have their stuff 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon and just have it done. Because what happens is, the later the day goes, my door locks at 5 o'clock and I go home, and then my phone and emails is going off. You know, it's like I literally never get a break. So I'm trying to cut some time back into my life by doing that. And then if that works well, our plan, we have one big plan that I won't talk about because I don't want to jinx that one, but then we're thinking about putting a kitchen in Longview or Kilgore, that area, and then we'll probably go like Marshall, Mount Pleasant, something. So the business model we have set right now is one big kitchen, 3 or 4 stores off of that, one big kitchen, 3 or 4 stores off of that, and then we have one big giant surprise coming up in the next few months. I'll keep that one close to the chest.
Keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, surely you're not cooking all this stuff yourself. How many people do you employ now?
Today we had somebody up front. We had myself, my manager, Annie, and this is a funny thing I'll mention after this. Annie. We had 7 people today.
Yeah.
And that's getting ready. So Saturday's a big prep day, not a big meal day. I mean, I think we had maybe 60 meals to make, maybe another 200 to fill up here. So tomorrow the grab and goes are ready. But we cook a bunch of. So the thing with meal prepping, and this is why a lot of meal prep companies, I don't want to say necessarily fail, but maybe fail to scale. I'm writing that down somewhere. That's great. Is the way it works is you have to cook your food, You have to get it to a specific temperature, right about 70 degrees within like 2 hours. Then you have to get it to 40 degrees in about 4 hours. You know what I mean? Food safety is probably the biggest concern of everybody, you know, government, us, you. You don't want to get food poisoning. I don't want to give anybody food poisoning. That's a death sentence for our job. So you have to go through all these processes. So like today we make a giant amount of food. We go through all those. It's like a HACCP plan. You know, you control your critical points. We get all that stuff taken care of. So tomorrow when we go to, we're going to make 700, 800 meals tomorrow, but everything will already be to temperature so we can put it in. That's why a lot of places you'll see order Monday through Thursday, the cutoff's Friday, and then you can get your meal Sunday. They only do it once a week because they're going to make everything Friday and Saturday, get it to temperature, then contain it on Sunday. We do this 7 days a week, so it's a constant round the clock cooking, cooling, packaging. And I think the reason we do so well is most meal prep places are 1 day a week. Mm-hmm. Nobody has grab and goes. You have to be a food manufacturer. That's a whole nother level. So the state will send somebody out and they'll go through your whole system. You'll have to walk them through your kitchen, how you do everything, how you bring in stuff, how you store stuff, how do you temp it, how do you check it, and they basically give you a test, you know. So we got our food manufacturer's license, so now I can literally sell meals pretty much anywhere I want. So that's cool, you know. But it's a hard gig, and right now our biggest goal is getting production, food being made in the kitchen by hiring more and more people. So I can do more outside of here. But I love being in the kitchen still. It's fun, man. It's a challenge, you know?
Yeah.
It's
well, I mean, it sounds like you've got that obsessive personality anyway.
It's a gift and a curse, I promise you.
Yeah. Yeah. So if anybody is looking for a job, just throw it out to my tiny audience. How would they reach out for that?
We're on Indeed, too. Like, they could search that, or they could just come in the shop. I mean, we're here all the time. Yeah. You know, I try to get away from having people come in here and this and that because I don't want to be, hey, sorry, we're busy, I can't talk to you right now. But if they message me or something, there's a million ways to contact people this day. We have technology at our hands.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are you looking for somebody to hire for that?
So we're always looking for kitchen people. I'm looking for front desk people for here. My daughter starts college here in a few weeks, and White House. We just hired a general manager for White House. He's an awesome dude. He used to own skateboard shops in California and stuff.
Yeah.
Then he was like a pastor for like 14 years. And the guy's just super. That's who you need to do a podcast with. That guy is probably the coolest person I've ever met.
Yeah, get me in contact.
I definitely will. Sure. This guy's story, it would just blow your mind. And there's a lot of it, it's very heart-wrenching, and then there's just that's the person you want to interview. He actually holds a world record of tasting a specific amount of tacos. I think he's tried tacos in every state or something like that. And the guy's he's cool, man. He's just real chill, laid back. So we're going to start the interviewing process with him and down there and getting some support staff. Down there, there's not a lot of moving parts. It's this part of the business. There's no kitchen. There's no food handling. There's no cooking. It's that. So we would definitely could use 3-4 front counter people, probably 2 more kitchen people. We're looking at, as I was telling you moments ago about the cooking, cooling, containing, is maybe like a night shift. So the night shift could come in, cook, cool. We come in the morning, contain. At night, cook. Get a better flow. We don't know if it'll work better or work. We're still at that point where we need to try everything and eliminate things that aren't good.
Yeah.
People think you jump into business and it's just like they see that we're crushing it. We're doing great. Like, couldn't ask for much more than what we got going on. But you always still got to try to make it better. You can't get complacent. And if you have to take a couple steps back to figure that out, well, at least then. Because if you don't take that chance, and that was better, so we're still in that growing phase of let's try this for a couple weeks. Let's try this for a couple weeks. We just, like I said, I tell people all the time, I'm just out here winging it. We sat down one day for 8 hours and did cost analysis, figuring out what 1 ounce of everything costs. I mean, we have 70 items that have 430 ingredients, so it's crazy. And those are the things that take you to the next level.
So just wondering about that. Do you do like a big batch of one thing at a time? Like, I mean, I think you'd have to at least do that somewhat skilled production.
Yeah, so let's break this down. Big batch things are the greatest thing ever. your macaroni and cheese. We do like an adult mac and cheese. We do like a tuna noodle casserole. We do like a Korean barbecue, a boom boom shrimp. Those are things that basically we buy in the container with rice, and we put 4 ounces of boom boom shrimp on the top, 4 ounces of Korean barbecue, and we can blow through the burrito bowl, our top seller. We could push out 200-300 of those in like an hour. You know what I mean? Because it's batch made. Then you get, like I was telling you earlier, you'll get Jane orders 13 and she wants one of this, one of this, one of this, one of this. So that's a log jam. And then we have our custom meals. So like say you have a coach and he sends you a meal plan, you send that to us. You tell me, hey, make me meal 1, 2, 3, and 5. I'll do 4 at home. Give me 6 of those. We do those, and your coach has you eating 147 grams of chicken, 90 grams of rice. We have to weigh all those out to the gram, you know. And then Ryan, our nutritionist, he works with people who are really trying to dial their health in, or people who need functional health stuff like diabetics, hypertension. So then it's even more. I mean, he's got meals. You'll have your protein, you'll have your carbohydrate, you'll have 8 blueberries, 3 walnuts, 1/4 ounce of olive oil, all of these specific things because you need specific nutrients and stuff. Those are the worst. That takes forever. So there's definitely meals that we're like, okay, cool, there's 30 of those. Let's knock these out. And then we're like, protein waffles, that's the worst. It takes forever. And today a lady had 4, another person had 2, and it's a nightmare. We got one little waffle maker, and it's just the worst. But people love it. What are you going to do? Take it off the menu, So you see stuff like that, and you're like, damn. But what I try to tell everybody is, and this is just how I am as a person, do all the stuff that's hard first. Get that out of the way, and then let's cruise. Because when you get in and you're just woke up and your energy drink's kicking in or your coffee, you feel good. Like, let's take advantage of that before you start wearing down. So when you do get a little fatigued or hot or cranky, now you're just kind of on autopilot. These are the easy things. Let's just knock these out, clean up, and go home. So it works good that way. Yeah.
Man, I mean, it sounds like you've got this figured out more or less, and I'm excited to see you grow, man. It's kind of cool being here at the beginning, and I can see it really working out for you.
Yeah, it's visible, it's weird. Like you can visually see the growth. Yeah, and it's great. I got a great team. The people I have a baker. She makes all our baked goods. I mean, we got giant cookies now, and she's actually going to start kind of doing her. And that's another thing I'm going to brag on myself shortly. Everybody who comes here, I try to figure out how I could set them up to start doing their own thing. Mm-hmm. Ryan came here. It's like, hey, man, you're a nutritionist. Let's get him rolling. On our office back there's a dry erase where we put all our stuff on and we don't pay attention to and miss half the stuff we're supposed to do. But I said 10 clients for Dork. I call him Dork because he's a smart guy. I mean, he's the type of dude, he starts talking about nutrition, you're just like, yeah, okay. You're like, what is that bird doing over there? Super smart. I tell everybody, I'm like, he's a smart one, I'm the good looking one, with our powers combined, But it's like, we set him up, we got the office. He does all this stuff here. When the baker came on, I said, hey, if you want to promote this as yours, Jen's Baked Goods, let's do that. And she said no, and I was like, okay. But now she's come back, and she's like, hey, I kind of want to do something on my own. I'm like, kitchen's yours, we close at 5, whatever you want to do. And I just love that. I love building the people up around me. We had guys shooting a video here today for he does the teeth whitening thing. He's a vet. Maybe that's another guy you can do a podcast with. He's like, I'll give you a list. But, I'm talking to them, telling them the same stuff I'm telling you that I've learned through trial and error over the last 2 years as owning a small business. And it just feels so good to get these people leveled up. I just feel like if everybody around you is getting raised up, you have no choice but to level up. And that's become, I'm passionate about my business because I'm a coach and I love that it helps everybody. You know what I mean? But when it comes to that, seeing everybody around me just getting better and better, I think we checked with Ryan. He has 13 clients right now. He had 0 3 months ago. All these people around me, I'm letting them get bigger, better, and that's my passion. It's like, it just feels so good. Building up that good juju for all the bad shit I did first 20 years, and now, I'm coming back, get it. Yeah, it's great. I love that.
Yeah, man. If you want to plug your stuff, man, go right ahead. I think we've talked enough for this time. Maybe we can talk again some other time.
Yeah, anytime. mealprepguy903.com if you want to order online. 7 days a week. The cutoff's midnight. If you get it in by midnight, it's ready the next day, 2:30-ish. We deliver free to Lindale, Tyler, Flint, Bullard. If it lets you put your address in on the website, we deliver there. About 16-mile radius. You can always come down to the shop, 1721 South Broadway Avenue, Suite D. And we have grab-and-go meals always ready and available. And hopefully we'll open in White House. That's 201 State Highway 110 North, Suite 1. That's a weird address, man. Yeah. Hopefully we get that open in the next couple of weeks. And if you have any questions, you can reach us at www.mealprepguy903@gmail.com. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks for it. It was fun. It was cool.
Yeah. Hi, I hope you enjoyed listening to the interview, and if you did, go ahead and just like and follow or whatever it is on the platform you're listening to. That just helps me reach more people. Thanks. I saw you just do that. You're pretty neat.